Hey, what's happening, everybody? I'm Larry Roberts, and this is another episode of the Readily Random Podcast.
Hey, you could be larger than life, bigger than the world.
I have a young lady that is just amazing, and I don't use that word very often, especially with today's youth. But hey, that's no dig on my kids or the millennials that are out there listening, so I'm just kidding. No, but Sabah Ali, she is with me right here. And she is an entrepreneur. She is a #1 best-selling author. I believe she's a recent college graduate. And she's even a clothing designer. What do you do, Sabah, and what don't you do?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me on today. I'm super excited. Yeah, you named pretty much everything that I have done up until now. But yeah, recently I just graduated college about like 3 weeks ago now. And it feels pretty good to be done now that I can focus, 100% on what I'm building with my companies. But yeah, you hit it right on the head with that. I wrote my best-selling book when I was actually a junior in college. So that was about a year ago now, and I wrote it over kind of my college experience, and I put in that book principles that I use on a daily basis in order to live that typical college student lifestyle, but then also be very career driven in my field of entrepreneurship. So I feel like that kind of jump-started everything.
Sure.
And for me to get on stages, to speak, get on TV and stuff like that.
Right on. I dig it. What exactly did you get your degree in? Is it an entrepreneurial type field, or did you focus your efforts on a specialized field? What'd you do there?
Yeah, so when I graduated high school, so I've always been interested in entrepreneurship, but I really never had, the push to really do so. So when I came to college, I knew I was really interested in fashion. But at the same time, I really started to get into business. So I actually did 2 majors. I did apparel merchandising and design and business management. So I graduated with 2 degrees. And I met one of my good mentors, Brandon, and then through Brandon, I met Laura Peterson, who we connected with, and how, we got on this podcast.
Sure. That's how we came together.
Yeah. So, since then, I've started to learn from both of my mentors and kind of apply what they taught me to everything that I'm currently doing now.
So now, the one main thing that you're doing right now is, I believe it's called Unforgettable by Sabah. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So what that is a brand and a movement that I'm creating. So I thought about this idea actually back in August of last year when I was entering my senior year of college. And I realized what I really like to do is I like to inspire other college students, females. They don't even have to be specifically entrepreneurs, but just people who kind of need some accountability, that push, that inspiration to do more. Because if you had met me when I was in high school, I was an extremely introverted and shy person. I absolutely did not want to have conversations. I would not be able to go speak on stages, anything like that. But what it took was my mentor to kind of open up my eyes to see what more there was that I could be doing. So what Unforgettable focuses on is, helping other people get elevated in their industry. And a tangent off that, which I'm currently working on as well, is my Instagram agency. So it's Unforgettable Instagram Agency, where I help other business owners pretty much manage their Instagram accounts.
Oh, cool. Well, we'll talk about that after the show because I could sure use some help in that arena. I sit here and I'm going, I hear that, Instagram's great for marketing your podcast and getting it out there for other people to hear and just kind of broaden your footprint in that industry and get some brand awareness going out there. But poor old Lair, I struggle. I'm just see, I'm 45, so I'm supposed to struggle. I mean, that's how it goes, But I'm like,
that's not even my focus. I feel like some people, they're either Facebook or they're Instagram, or they might just not know, exactly how to use Instagram. So that's pretty much what I focus in on is figuring out, what their goal is out of that. And for me, I absolutely love Instagram. It's by far my favorite platform because it's pretty much all visuals. And like millennials here at 21 right now, I absolutely love visuals,
sure.
Signs and stuff on Instagram. So yeah, it's absolutely very fun.
Well, see, and I think that's why I'm the Facebook guy. I did some Facebook training on Monday. I spent a whole day in class on Monday on Facebook ads and how to set up Facebook ads and establish brand awareness through Facebook. And I've got that. I think I've got a good grasp on that. But it's the Instagram where I'm on my phone and I'm like, okay, I need this hyperlink to go in my bio because I don't have enough followers to put it in a post. So how do I get this bit link, this little shortened URL over here when I'm on my computer?
Yeah.
It's nuts. I'm just like, it's just chaos. And if
Yeah.
it's so funny because I'll step away from Instagram, I don't know, for a couple of weeks because I'll just get frustrated. And then I'll go back and I can't even figure out how to post. I'm like, how do I?
Oh, those apps, they're always updating. So we'll talk and we can figure something out. Because, yeah, I absolutely love Instagram. That's pretty much, my main business I'm doing right now
Oh,
aside.
that's awesome. That's awesome. I work with some younger individuals, late 20s, early 30s in the IT industry, and they're Instagram fanatics, of course. And I go, man, nobody needs that. But you look at the stats, and I think everybody needs it. So that'd be
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
So,
no, definitely, for sure.
so tell us more about Unforgettable. Where did you get the name, and why is it unforgettable per se? I mean, I know you're young and you're really just tackling everything that's available to you from an entrepreneurial standpoint. But what makes it unforgettable?
Yeah, so it actually took me quite a while to come up with the name. And before, when I had the idea, I was thinking of something that was very just like different. I kind of wanted to just be one word because I was talking to, some of my friends. And actually, originally, when I launched Unforgettable, it started out with just like t-shirts. So, what I was going to be was t-shirts that have inspirational quotes on them. So, after I launched, I got my t-shirts, I started to build this brand and movement off of that. So originally, it was just going to be like a fashion brand. And so I started to speak with some of my people and my friends who are in the fashion industry, like what type of name should I come up with? What's very catchy? And they told me that usually fashion brands that do the best are only like one name words. So it's like, okay, what is a name that really matches, what I'm doing and what I want everyone else to feel if they're wearing my shirts. And so it was actually funny. I was in the car with my one of my friends and we were brainstorming ideas and my friend actually came up with the name. So shout out to Paul who helped me. But he got the name Unforgettable and that just clicked to me and I was like, whoa,
No, that's
I
cool.
really like that because unforgettable, it means that, whatever industry you're in, whatever you're doing in life, just be unforgettable at it. So that really stuck to me. And, the first time when he said that, I was like, that's going to be the name. And I stuck with it ever since.
So I noticed that everything that you do kind of has an unforgettable theme to it in the fact that even your book is Enrolling in Confidence. That's the name of your book. And that, in my own mind, is very memorable as well. What about your book says, hey, here's how to enroll in confidence. Here's how to establish that confidence. So you can come out of your shell like you were, very reclusive. And now I've seen you on the news. I've seen you at Podcast Movement, I believe, if I remember right, some other industry type conventions, and you're speaking and you're involved with a lot of mastermind groups. How did you enroll in that confidence?
Yeah, yeah. So it all started with pretty much, meeting my mentor. That's how I really got into the field of entrepreneurship. And it pretty much started with working alongside him and his companies and him connecting me with his network. Because for me, when I was in college, so I met Brandon, my mentor, when I was, let's see, a sophomore. So, when I was a freshman in college, I didn't have that type of entrepreneurial mindset that we have. And I didn't even know this type of thinking really existed. So when I got immersed into that type of field, I was like, whoa, this is like a whole new world. And I really enjoy it. And I've always been very ambitious. I guess like when I was in high school and stuff, I was very driven and getting good grades. So when I got into entrepreneurship, I was like, oh, I want to be doing this. So I diverted all my attention to that. And, just start to learn from other people, experience, and really just push myself outside my comfort zone and really just doing it because like I was really, really scared to go on stage and speak and even do Facebook Lives. I remember the first time I did a Facebook Live, it took me a good hour to find a place on campus. I was literally walking around campus to try and find a place no one would see me. And it took me probably like 10 minutes to hit live.
I was right there
Um,
with you. It's so difficult to sit there and stare at your phone and see your own face, and you're talking to who? Who are you talking to? You
Yeah.
don't even know. And how arrogant is it of us? Because I do it too. How arrogant is it of us to think that people want to hear what we have to say? And I think that's some of that imposter syndrome creeping in, and it's just some of that self
Please
doubt.
take interruption with Marianne Russell. Please come to the welcome desk. Marianne Russell to the welcome desk. Thank you.
I just
Oh, sorry.
I just want to say welcome to Marianne Russell. She needs to go to the front desk, so that'd be
Sorry,
great.
I'm at the library and that just went off.
So that was awesome. So I was on a podcast the other day, the Square Peg Round Hole podcast, and my iWatch went off. And right in the middle of the podcast, and we're sitting here talking about professionalism and how to run your podcast really, on the straight and narrow, and all of a sudden, do. And
Oh, that's great.
oh well, life
That's
happens.
hilarious. I think that's the best part about podcasts is you never know what's going to happen during them.
Exactly. And I'm going to just kind of build my book a little bit here in that's what my book is about, is simplifying the equation of podcasting success. And a lot of the entrepreneurial mindset says, "Hey, I need a podcast." And I agree 100%, you need a podcast. But they get caught up in the technicalities of it all, and they get caught up in no, I almost said professionalism, but that's almost the word that I want to use, because sometimes it just sounds too polished, too tweaked, too stale, too professional. And I think with a podcast, man, if you just kick back, relax, laugh a little bit at anything, at the mistakes that happen, or a watch going off, or Mary J. Blige need to come to the front desk, or whatever it may be, I think all of that's great. So I think where I was going though was talking about the Facebook Live and how difficult it is,
Yeah.
and how that little voice of, man, don't do it, Larry, don't go live, don't do it, and then you finally do it, and you just sit there, nope, not gonna post that one. Is that what you did?
Well, it's funny because like it's live and then when you're done with it, you have the choice to either keep it up there or delete it. But honestly, after I did my first one, it did become so much more easier. And, after doing that, I would just do them daily. And I actually documented my entire senior year by doing a daily Facebook Live.
That's
So I
right.
did 254 days of consecutive lives showing everyone the journey of my last year of college. And, while going through entrepreneurship, while going through a full schedule of classes, showing everybody, like the mental breakdowns I have when I was about to fail some of my classes.
Sure.
Um, but it was a really good experience, and it was cool to see, how much better I got on my lives. And even days when I absolutely did not want to do it whatsoever, people were waiting because they knew I was documenting. And so, I kind of had to do it because I already told the world that I was doing it.
Sure.
Um, so it was definitely a really good experience. But yeah, when I first started doing it, it was very hard for me because I had no idea what I was going to talk about. If I messed up, it was going to be live. But eventually over time, I kind of just got over it and just hit record.
Well, see, and I think that goes right back to what I was saying about podcasting, in that they're overproduced a lot of the times. And that's what's so
Yeah.
cool with the Facebook Live is the only production value is that it's right there, the camera, and what you say while you are live. So that a lot of times freezes people up in and of itself. But
Mhm.
once you overcome that, man, it's a lot of fun. And it's also very informative for your listeners, and it provides a nice kind of a connection and a relationship. Like you were saying, people are waiting for your content. They're waiting to see the latest Facebook Live. And I tell you, I still struggle there myself a bit, because there's certain arenas that I just won't, I want to. I want to bust it out and go, "Hey, I'm at so and so, check it out." But everybody's all around, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm talking to my phone, So it's
Yeah. Yeah, I still sometimes struggle with that, just doing it in public.
yeah,
If I have my like headphones in, it makes it a little bit easier because I can't really hear anybody else. But
trick
no,
of
I
the trade
definitely
right there.
understand where you're coming from with that.
So, what was the biggest thing? I'd actually forgot to talk to you about the the one that's massive, documenting your entire senior year. What was like your major takeaway outside of the fact that your audience was expecting content every day? But how did it help you as an individual grow with that level of documentation?
Yeah, so I think for me personally, it really helped me be very genuine and authentic with everything that I was doing. And because, going through college, my last year, and then also trying to balance entrepreneurship, it's very hard on its own. And, ever since I've been in entrepreneurship, I've always tried to be very transparent with my audience. Because for me, I was that college student who was very shy when I came to college. Then I met my mentor, and then I started doing all of these things. So I kind of wanted to continue that and show everybody that entrepreneurship isn't always about glamour. There's times when, I absolutely was so annoyed on my Facebook Live. I was just doing so bad in my classes and I didn't really even know what to do. But, that even taught myself that everybody else who is also in entrepreneurship or in different industries, it's not always positive and, they're not always making X amount of money and everything like that. There's always going to be like hard times throughout everything that you're doing. So, putting myself out there was also very hard because I had to do it every single day. So there was no, oh, I don't feel like doing it. If I'm just like lazy or if I'm sick or something, I still had to do it. So I mean, just in general for me, it was cool to see kind of my progress and everything also because at the end, when I graduated, I even looked back on a lot of my lives and made like a compilation of them. And it was nice to see, in the beginning, I was still very kind of, I don't know, shy about my lives. And then as the days went forward, you can kind of see how much more open I got. So I know my audience loved that, and for me, it was cool to see the transition throughout everything.
Cool, cool. One of the things that I struggle with too is that, and I don't know if you did, and if you did, tell me how you kind of overcame it. When you're doing your Facebook Lives, you can see a counter up in the top left-hand corner going, hey, this is how many people are viewing. And there's those times, plenty of them, where where there's where there's one person or two people. Maybe if you break the into the double digits, you're like, oh yeah, this is a great one. But I still struggle with that, paying attention to that, and it distracts me from my message. And how did you overcome that? And I've got a way that I talk to people about podcasting that helps them overcome their numbers and not be number fanatics. But when you're sitting there, you're doing it live, and Facebook has a bajillion different subscribers, and you have two.
Yeah, yeah. So every time I put out a piece of content, when I used to podcast, do a live or do a video or anything, I always just focus on that one person who's watching. And it was funny because, I did these consecutively every single day. So there were times where I literally would not even have like many viewers whatsoever. But I posted on my Facebook so people would watch it later also. But I tried to just not pay attention to that little screen on the top where you could see the numbers. What I tried to pay attention to was pretty much just my message and if people, were commenting. But there were times where literally no one was on and I was just talking to myself, I felt like. But, it's all about that one person who's watching. Because for me, what I do every single day, it's to help that one person who might be, stuck in a rut. They don't have that inspiration or push to do so much more. Because, I look at every single person on Facebook, on Instagram, they're always consistently putting out content. And they want to help, hundreds and thousands of people, which, we all want to do. But for me, if I can help even at least one person, and if they don't see my video right away, maybe they see it in like a year, in 10 years, I don't know, maybe in a month, whatever it is, you're still putting out that content. So I just try not to focus on my numbers because that's not my main mission. My main mission is to help, that one person who needs that help, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense, and that's a great perspective. One that I tend to use is, and I'll be using it tomorrow in my business soup presentation I have here locally with a business mastermind. Plugging myself, thank you. And one of the things that I say when you have a new podcaster that launches, they get an episode out, and they've been doing it for a month or two podcasting, and they look at their numbers and they're getting like 30 downloads, a month. And they're like,
Mhm.
this is nothing. Why aren't I getting Joe Rogan numbers? Why don't I have millions of subscribers? And why does nobody love me? But the thing the thing that folks don't understand is that, we're just another we're just a widget basically. But imagine if you had one meeting or a business meeting once a month where you presented to 30 to 35 people. Now, when you're standing in front of those 35 people, does that look like a lot of people? Yes, it does, because you're in a
Mhm.
confined space. So if it's a lot of people right there, you're helping those 35 once a month. You're helping 35 others this past month with your newest episode. So it's reaching an audience, not a huge audience, but it's reaching an audience, and it's a much
Right.
broader audience than you would ever meet if you didn't have a podcast. So one of my things is I like to talk about brand awareness and getting your brand out there via podcast. And people, if they keep it centralized and they keep it content focused, for instance, I like to use my lawn care agency analogy, is that if you have a lawn care here in Dallas, Texas, and you wanted to expand your footprint, let people know you have that podcast and give them tips every week or every day or however off whatever frequency it is, and you're going to reach people. And I think that same concept or a similar concept goes back to your Facebook Lives, because you're going to reach somebody. And I'm still in the habit of going back and going, how many views? How many views did I get? How many? Ooh,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
you know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
that's the hardest thing, is coming to grips with those numbers and a perspective of those numbers. That helps everything.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense because I mean, even with podcasts in general, I absolutely love them because I mean, for a video, it's also different because you have to look at your phone and see what the video is about. But with podcasting, I listen to podcasts all the time when I'm driving, when I'm working out, and I also like to listen to like short ones that do just give constant tips because I can actually apply it right there and then.
Sure.
I don't have to wait and like I don't know, listen or watch this long video. So yeah, definitely just putting out your content and yeah, even if you don't have that big of an audience right now, they're still going to take what you're giving out and apply it. And if you're putting out good content, they're going to keep coming back and keep listening and
Right.
eventually tell their friends and then they're going to start listening.
See, and that's the other thing too. Everybody wants that overnight success. They don't take into account that some of these podcasts they're listening to have been podcasting since 2004, 2005. They've been growing their audience for well over a decade, almost
Yeah.
2 decades. And it just takes time. And I think it's the same way with entrepreneurship, is that it just takes time. So
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the spot real quick. You say you listen to podcasts. I got to call you out. What's your favorite podcast? Not readily
Gary
random, I know, but
Gary Vee, all-time favorite.
hell yeah. I don't even cuss on this podcast, but I had to say a hell yeah right there, because Gary Vee is the mighty, mighty man.
I love his content. Yeah,
Uh,
it just like pumps me up and like drives me so much. I literally listen to it every morning when I'm working out.
yeah, I listen to it every day, no doubt about it. And I'm even going back, and I think I've listened to everything that he's put out. I'm not 100% sure, but I go back and I'm like, nope, heard that one. And some of them,
Yeah.
I'm not even remotely kidding that I've listened to him multiple times, like his keynotes where he goes on, where like an hour-long keynote, because you miss something, right? So
That's so funny because I literally do the same thing. That's hilarious.
Man, you get your favorite episodes. It's just like your TV show, I guess. You find an episode, you just watch it over and over and over. And
Yeah,
with Gary,
pretty
man,
much that's how it works.
yeah, exactly, man. I just love it. I just love it. So yeah, Gary Vee is my number one as well. I got a couple others out there that I like. I like Tim Ferriss. I love the Jocko podcast. Have you ever heard Jocko podcast?
I have not, no.
He's a retired Navy SEAL, and it's a very, very dry podcast. It's about leadership. It's all about leadership. And Jocko Willenick is the host, and again, very dry, and a lot of it is just like this. And he talks
Yeah.
very plain, and he talks very almost militaristic. But
Mhm.
the lessons that come out of that, and the leadership, and the guests that he have are freaking just top notch. But it's not for everybody because it is so dry. But he's up there, man. He's in the top 10 every week. He's in the top 10 podcast.
Oh
Uh,
wow, that's crazy. I'll have to check it out for sure.
yeah, I dig it a lot. So, hey, Sabah, tell us a little more about you. What do you do? What are your hobbies other than entrepreneurship?
Oh, my hobbies. So when I was in college, one of my hobbies that I did for fun was actually dance. I absolutely love hip hop dance. How it worked at my university was a lot of the students would come up with their own choreography, and they would teach other students. And then at the end of the semester, we'd put on the show for like the town. And that was something that I did for fun, just because, I would focus so much on, school and on entrepreneurship that I still want to do something outside of that to, still enjoy and have fun with my friends. So dance is something that I absolutely love to do and still love to do.
That's awesome. Hip hop dancing, man. I've been hip hop dancing since like '84. I was I, breakdancing came out in the early '80s, late '70s, man, and I was just a kid. I'm like barely double digits at that time, but I'm wearing
Yeah.
bandanas and I'm breakdancing. I got my cardboard out on the sidewalk and I'm doing everything I can to be just the poppinest and lockinest and hip hoppinest kind of guy there is. And it stuck
Uh,
with me forever, man. Me and my old podcast host, JJ Dodd, got to give him a shout out. I shouldn't say this as a male, but we had a dance team. We would we would train our backsides off all week, man, and get ready for the club. And we'd go to the club on Thursday night, man. And I'm not even remotely kidding. We would dance battle anybody. We thought we were it, man. It was awesome.
oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I love that though. That's so much fun.
it's
I
it's
feel
so
like every
awesome.
time I'm dancing and I'm with my dance friends, I just get so energized and just so pumped up.
Heck yeah, man. There's no better way. I don't know. There are better ways, but man, hip hop dancing is just where it's at. I still sit around and I'll watch. What is it? The World of Dance. You'll get those
Oh
clips.
yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that's so much fun. Yeah, I
Oh,
absolutely love it. And like dancers nowadays, they're so crazy good. Like there's dancers that are like 10 years old and they're killing it out there.
yes, they're crushing it. I'm like, man, how? That's not even physically possible.
And what's even more crazier is I follow a lot of them on Instagram and their audience is massive. I'm like,
Really?
what in the world? Yeah, because if it's dance, they put videos up on their Instagram, and I absolutely love watching dance videos.
Sure.
So people want to follow them. So I'm like, oh, that's so crazy, how they just put out content and their following is literally growing so, so fast.
Well, it's amazing because it's energetic content. It's something that you can look at and you go, "Wow, that is amazing," and it stirs emotion. And I think that's the key level when you're dealing with anything from a social media perspective. You have to somehow spark that emotion, and you have to make a connection with your desired audience. And at times, content creation is extremely difficult. And especially if you don't have a creative tendency, you don't lean towards the creative side. You're very analytical and you're very entrepreneurship with your business numbers, and you've got a good plan in place. But then, how do you translate that into good emotion stirring content? And I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I remember even when I think it was maybe like 2 summers ago, I tried to do daily videos, and even I struggled a little bit with that because I was trying to consistently, come up with new and exciting content that people want to watch. But it definitely is, it takes time to create very, intriguing content that people want to watch consistently for sure. So, just taking time to kind of map that out and see what else that you can be doing to gain attention from your audience is something, that I've definitely learned throughout my years and watching other people and seeing how they do it also and kind of learning from everybody else and implementing and doing it on my own.
Cool. Yeah, definitely. And that takes time too, and it goes back to what I was saying earlier. You don't have overnight success. Every overnight success has in the background 10, 15 years behind it that you never
Oh
even
yeah,
heard
for
of.
sure.
So,
Definitely.
well, Saba, tell us about your book. Tell us about your Unforgettable. Where can we find your book? Where can we find your merchandise? Where can we follow you? Give us all your contact information, and then we'll finish this thing up.
Yeah, for sure. So you can find all about me and my website and my t-shirts at sabaali.com. I absolutely love Instagram, as I've said, so you can follow me and everything that I do on my Instagram. And my handle is Sabah, Sabah dot Ali. Ali14. And so I try and put out very daily, consistent content. I put out stories, I do lives, and then obviously just on my Facebook, my personal is just Sabah Ali. So, try and put on consistent content as well. So yeah, it's really exciting stuff. Now that I'm graduate, I can go full on in everything that I've been doing and see where my journey takes me now.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And that's what it's about, entrepreneurship journey. And that's exactly what it is. It's a journey. And it's a fun journey. You learn a lot. You hurt a lot. You may even cry a lot. I'm an emotional guy.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes I shed a tear or two, I get made
Yeah.
fun of a lot because I do. I cry all the time. I shouldn't admit that either. But
Yeah.
but hey, man,
It's all about the journey, though, because we all grind and we work so, so hard, but don't forget to just enjoy the journey. Take time, take a break, hang out with friends, do whatever, and just enjoy it. Because yeah, for me, one thing that I struggle with was I want everything to be done so, so fast. I'm such an impatient person, but I absolutely still love the journey. So yeah, we'll see where everything, keeps on going. But in the meantime, I'm just going to be grinding away.
There you go. Grind away and take a little time to get some hip hop in.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, Sabah, I really appreciate it. This has been a great episode. We laughed and had a good time. We got some good information, and I can't wait to share it.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, everybody, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Sabah was a phenomenal guest, and hopefully you can get a little bit of information from what we talked about. Not dancing, because I can't do. I'm 300 pounds now. I can't dance. So anyhow, thanks for listening, and catch us on the next episode. Head to readilyrandom.com/blog and check it out. So I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
You could be